have dreamt of this. You disgust me.
Do you want to know why?
Everything you stand for.
Freedom scares you. How confident you are.
We're done here.
Confident and terrified.
You're finished.
And you're too late. The rebellion isn't here anymore. It's flown away. There's a whole galaxy out there waiting to disgust you.
Hello, Podlings.
Hello, Podlings.
Boy, have we got an episode for you guys.
Yes. An exciting day.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's been a while since we've been quite busy, so it's been hard to get together to do an episode. But as you know, Andor has finished. I'm sure you've all watched it. But before we get to that, we had a 48-hour challenge.
48-hour challenge, which with PB and I, turned into an 8-hour challenge because we forgot.
Hey, we're recording today. We'll be doing some kind of challenge.
Yeah.
Whoops.
So a much quicker challenge, and the challenge we put forward last time because our last episode was on logo. Should we do a Podlings podcast?
I was just about to say,
okay.
like we could go pick one of these looks,
yeah,
and do Podlings podcast
inspired by one of these.
Inspired by one of these.
I'm down. I'm really interested to see what you've done.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it up on my. I'll get it up on my computer actually.
Get it up on your computer. I texted PB earlier, Mikey. I texted Mikey earlier today, and I was like, "Fuck, I can't tell if I love it or I hate it."
Yeah.
But I think it's because, again, I waited till the very last minute. In 8 hours, I didn't spend 8 hours doing the logo. If I spent 8 hours, it'd be epic.
We do have
jobs and lives and things.
lives to deal with.
Yeah.
But we put some effort in.
I think all up, maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah, I probably
and most of that was on a mock-up.
Yeah, to revise everyone, the challenge was, I think we landed on, we wanted to do, because we were going through all the logos that Star Wars has gone through,
which
all
is
the iterations, which was a lot, including a lot of the movies and shows. And we landed on designing the Podlings podcast as one of those logos, but it was pretty loose. We could kind of do whatever. As long as it's Star Wars-y, just have fun with it. Do you want to show yours first, or shall I show mine first?
I think you show yours first.
So obviously, if you're watching or if you're listening, you won't see this.
I'm going to be so annoyed if we had the same idea.
It'll be on Instagram. Well, I don't think we will, because I ended up animating mine a little bit.
Fuck off.
Only because if it was a still...
People are going to like yours better because it's motion.
It's not a competition.
Mine's flat. I did a mock-up, so go on.
I didn't do a mock-up. I just did... Well, what I did was because
I just animated it and it looks really fucking cool.
It's pretty much like basically the movie standard. It's amazing.
They're going to hire me now.
But what I did, because I really liked, when we were talking about it, I really liked the Star Wars sequel logo where it had the big Star Wars outline text and the title in the middle.
Okay.
So I did Podlings and then a little bit in the middle. So obviously if you're listening, you can't see this, but it'll be on Instagram and the video version. So this is what I did.
On the YouTubes. Beautiful.
And so that one is directly referencing The Force Awakens, like the very first trailer that they had, which by the way has 111 million views on YouTube.
What does?
That YouTube, The Force Awakens trailer. Like, that popped off. Anyway, so I copied it frame for frame, like for the timing and stuff.
Yeah.
And it was pretty tricky, like getting the Podlings outline text, which I did in Illustrator. And then I think the font for the podcast is like some obscure one. It's like some ITC.
Yeah, it's loose.
Bloody serif thing. Anyway, and so, yeah, I combined the outline text of Podlings and then I chucked it all in After Effects, my favorite Adobe program. and then I just separated the podcast letters to be all separate so that I could rotate them in 3D space and then just positioned the Podlings and then added some stars.
Looks good.
Bub's your uncle. Done.
I went rogue.
I'm excited to see yours.
This one's mine. Woo!
Japanese style, sick, love it.
Yeah, so same vibe as Mikey's we did like the yellow outline.
Yeah, that's
of
funny
a
that we both
chunky.
did that,
I know.
yeah.
I feel like we had talked about that in the logo one where we were like, this is our favorite, like the OG.
Yeah.
The outline. We like the sequels logos.
Yeah.
We did yellow, of course, because we chose yellow for our
100%.
Podlings podcast. Just
Which,
we like
of
it.
course,
It's very
is-
striking.
Yeah.
And yellow lightsabers are
Yeah, I
legit.
can see you've got a little bit of a blur.
I do. I have a little Gaussian blur underneath so
Make
that
it
it has
glow a
like
bit.
little glowy bits, and it's on a starry black background.
Of course.
I checked the translation a bunch to make sure that it actually
Because
says
podlings, surely
podlings.
that's not a word, right?
Podlings is not a word.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that it actually says podlings and not something else.
If I had my phone, I would Google Translate and see
And
if
it says like bugged. We'll find out if this is something inappropriate. I like it either way.
visually it's very sick and looks exactly like the Star Wars logo.
Not
pretty much,
animated,
design-wise.
unfortunately. I'm not an animator.
Well,
So you got a Gaussian blur. Okay. I did do a mock-up.
shit. Okay.
And then that one says Podlings Podcast.
on the
full.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that is
Both of them say full
that's
Podlings Podcast. So this means like must be pod because both of those are the same.
Oh yeah.
characters?
And then Lings and Cast are two different.
Yeah. I just wanted to see what it looks like.
What's that design in the black on the back?
That's Darth Vader.
Oh, I see it now.
I just did like
was looking at it
a basic
weirdly.
t-shirt mock-ups, which you can see if you look on Instagram or on the YouTubes.
That's very cool.
Because it's easier to see a logo like this
Yeah.
than it is to see it
Yes.
just stagnant.
That was partly why I wanted to animate mine because I'm like, oh, dude,
It just
it's
looks so like lame.
I just did not like mine at all. I love yours. Yours is sick.
And then like variations of what it looks like podlings. I actually really like that one that matches ours.
Yes, it does. It looks good.
And
Oh,
then
you've
in
done a whole brand kit.
in customary fashion, I had to do the full thing. So I put what font
Yeah.
I did, which they do English and Japanese.
And Japanese, nice.
And then I did the two
Gothic.
colors,
Oh, yep.
which
Yellow
is like a
on the back.
charcoal and then the yellow.
So good.
Yeah.
Love it. I like that we both went like an extra mile of like what we specialize in.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
so
Like
good.
this is very.
That's so good.
I'm glad I did this. If I just rocked up with that, I'd have been depressed with your fucking animated logo. Ugh.
Part of me was.
I actually really
yeah.
like these, and I think we should utilize them both in some capacity, even
think
if it's
so.
just for like merch or something.
Yeah, I think maybe the intro of this video could be my
definitely.
logo, which would spoil it. But
And yours can fuck off.
and yours can just be, and here's some merch. Honestly, that's sick, dude. I
Yeah,
really like
sick.
that.
Fully sick.
Fully sick.
I like it.
Yeah.
It still just reiterates like that one. I did one in the same style as ours.
Right.
And it just reiterates how much I like that drop
That's-
shadow look.
That style, yeah.
Yeah.
And with, plus the outline, like it really, it just really pops.
Wow,
I
really?
think it's that yellow too, like that yellow and black combo. It just looks really good.
Clean.
God, we're good.
God, we're fucking good. We should be designers.
We should be designers.
Should do this for money.
Star Wars, hire us.
It's like we both spent an hour on these.
Now,
Now,
shall we talk Andor?
we need to talk Andor.
We need to talk Andor.
We actually waited so long because it took me so long to sort my shit out.
Hey,
as
well, in your defense, you had shit to deal with.
I did have a lot of shit to
like
do.
a lot of work to deal with.
Work shit.
Which is understandable. But that gave me time to let it stew and really think
Okay.
about it a lot, and
Yeah.
it gave you time to finish it off.
Yes.
So it's really fresh for you because what, you finished it last night?
Last night.
Right.
And then I watched a bit of Rogue One today,
Just
just
to-
to like remind myself
Yeah,
what the
yeah,
fuck
yeah,
has
yeah. 'Cause
happened.
it's been a while since
like
you
what
watched
was
that,
the transition from that hard Andor cut, and then what happens in
Yeah, and it's like a pretty much you could go directly into the movie. Hey?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
he walks off, and then I think the movie starts with the flashback of Jin, right? Like
the
as a
girl.
child, and
Yeah.
Krennic showing up and whatnot, and then it cuts into, I think she's right.
Yeah, right.
And then it cuts into, Andor on that planet.
Yes.
Shoots that guy,
Yeah.
and he's like clearly very paranoid.
Yeah.
You know, given that he's
Yes.
been to some places where his paranoia is very
He's done some shit.
justifiable.
Yeah.
Which I love because they obviously did the same thing with Rogue One leading directly into A New Hope as well. So theoretically, you could just that's a lot of content to watch in one day.
Yeah.
Like Andor 1 to Rogue One and New
And then
Hope.
A New
and then
Hope.
you could
Right in.
kind of just keep watching, honestly.
Yeah.
But how do you feel like coming
Overall,
off it?
I loved the first season. Like, real big, fucking deep love for Andor season 1. I'm not, like, disappointed with season 2, but I didn't have that, like addiction bit.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It wasn't like, I need to find out what happens next. What's next? It wasn't like that with this one. It was just like, oh, yep, I'll watch another episode.
Actually, yeah. As you're saying that, I kind of like I loved it. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I loved it. But yeah, maybe it's something to do with the trouble of sequels.
Yeah.
Because it's a season 2.
Yeah.
I mean, it was incredible. But I agree. Like, even though maybe less happened in season 1, there was something special about it because it was so new.
I still think it fills gaps that we needed to fill.
100%.
I liked it. And for a Disney situation, Andor is easily my favorite thing that has come out of Star Wars. Disney.
I have to agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll get into it later, but it's very interesting, and that Disney sort of like okayed this.
Yeah.
Right? Because like, Mando, Grogu, kids gonna love it. Everyone's gonna love it.
Yeah.
It's very universally.
Yeah, but
like,
I think they're just tapping into a different market, which will
Yes.
still make the money.
Yes.
So at like work, we got this new guy. He has no interest in Star Wars at all. Doesn't like it. Watched Andor, loved it,
Really?
but has no interest in continuing Star Wars at all.
That's the first time I'm
He
hearing
likes
that. That's
sci-fi
awesome.
and stuff. Like he's really into like
Yeah.
Warhammer and shit.
Yeah.
But like it was just like to me, I was like, what? Like what?
That is
Like he was like, oh, have you watched Andor? And,
Wow.
and I said something else. I just in chat was like, oh, how did you feel about whatever this other
Right.
thing? And it was like he was like, oh no, I just watched Andor. I was like, okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I was like, that is weird. But that is a thing.
That's a real. I guess that's a testament to how well like the quality of the show.
Yeah.
Right?
Because
Because-
it's like a standalone. You don't need to.
It doesn't rely on cameos and
And you don't like, although we see a lot of things that are happening in it and that make sense to us, like these little bits. I got really excited when K2SO, his little storyline was,
It might have
this
been-
is how we found him.
Yeah, that
and
was
like,
sick.
and I just love that. And they were like, oh, and I was like, but they still just are like, oh, cool, a droid. You know what I mean? You don't need it. You don't need it. It's not relevant.
You don't need the backstory to it, which is
backstories.
great. It's not like forcing it down your throat that this was
No.
a character in another thing. It's like it's really well done, really well written, and I think maybe before we get into this other stuff, we'll stay on that topic where I was sent this video by my mate Paul, who I referenced a lot in Podlings 1.0.
You did, yes.
But he always we'd always have a debrief on, if there's a new show, a new movie of Star Wars. But he sent me this very funny video where it's the scene between Luthen and Daedra in his shop at the very end when she confronts him. And
God,
and it's a great scene, right?
Yeah.
The tension is wild. And
Yeah.
Luthen's, kind of pretending and
Putting
Daedra's
on a
confronting
show.
him.
Yeah.
And, she says something about the rebellions are disgusting, and he says, well, there's a whole galaxy out there to disgust you now.
Yeah.
But as the scene is playing out, the Andor logo is on top of Luthen's head, and Disney logo is on top of Daedra's head. And I think this is a really interesting way to look at it, because in a way, and maybe this is, maybe you don't feel like this, but Andor feels like kind of a rebellion within the Disney franchise of Star Wars.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like this very standalone, very different to everything else that's kind of going on right now. It's really focused on the story, the characters first and foremost, rather than how do we make sure people watch this?
Yeah. I think so too. It's not a cash grab.
Yeah, it's not.
I think it might have been in honestly, in my mind, they probably been like, oh, we've already spent so much money, just send it out, and realize how big it was for people who, love Star Wars.
It's
Or
really
they're realizing that people don't fuck with Star Wars entirely in the Disney universe.
I can't believe, because when you were saying that your friend watched it and he doesn't watch anything else, I was on the mindset that like I think Star Wars fans, especially the adults now that grew up with the originals, can like they appreciate Andor the most. I think more so than prequel fans, because like I've talked to my brother as well who watched the originals first before the prequels even came out, because he's older than me.
Yeah.
And they all like they just love Andor so much. So I think it's like it's this very unique demographic
well done.
of like it's ticked the box of making it feel like Star Wars, but expanded on it, there's more depth to it, and it's like, hey, it's for you adults that grew up.
Yeah. Did you see that some of the things were like real vintage? There was like some bits that were like looked like straight out like a Nintendo bits. And I was just like, it's actually good that they did that, because you are like transitioning right into A New Hope, you know?
100%.
It's like it needs to be, some of that shit needs to be real vintage.
It really does.
Yeah.
I can't think specifically.
There was like a lot of like gray plastics, you know? And like
it's really funny
the like squares on their things were just like a little bit.
Yeah, like even their belt, like the Imperial belts, you're like, God damn, it's
a
so
little
like,
bit like on the nose, but that's very what it was in A New Hope.
Aesthetic. Yeah, that's the aesthetic, right?
Yeah.
There's a guy I keep coming across on Instagram or TikTok, and he's found like certain props in the Star Wars universe, like on Amazon, and it's like
funny.
a chair, and it's like so Star Wars. Like,
Yeah.
and it kind of is like that's very truthful to what it originally was, because they're just like slapping shit together in the first movie, you know, like cheap whatever they could. But yeah, dude, I think it's really interesting to think of where Disney kind of like where do they go from here? Like I feel like this show is so well made, like the quality of it is so high, it's set the standard at a ridiculous level where everything will possibly be compared to it now. Like,
yeah, well, I think like it's a different story too. You know what I mean? You're not following you're following a different story. You're seeing a different side of the rebellion. You're seeing a different side of the Empire.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that is what people want. We don't want to keep seeing Luke. You know what I mean? Like,
as fun as it is, I agree. Like, it's nice to not rely on lightsabers and the chosen one. And that's something that I really want to make note is, we've talked about this before. George Lucas always is reflecting what's happening in society culturally.
Yeah.
It's always to do with war, particularly, and politics at the time.
Yeah.
Like the Viet Cong for, you know. So this one just feels really relevant. I think that's why it's resonated with a lot of people, because Gorman. Yeah. Like, what an incredible episode, first of all.
Yes. Yeah.
And like them setting up a fake attack from the Gormans when it was secretly the Imperial guys. It's like, it's very resonant to times now, and I feel like the creators, including Tony Gilroy, just really understood that. Yeah. And really just took it seriously. And I'm pretty sure he said himself, like, they took it seriously when they were making this. Good. You know? And that's what we want.
And it shows.
It does. I wouldn't be surprised if Disney are like, please do more for us, and potentially seeing Tony Gilroy do stuff in between episodes 4 and 5 or 5 and 6. Like, I can see him doing...
It would be great to explore a bit more of that.
Because honestly, I don't, there's barely anything in between those movies. It's not needed, but it'd be interesting. Like, there's a few characters at the end. Clea, we don't know what happens to them. We don't need to know. No. But maybe that's something that...
I was like immediately like, what happened to her?
Yeah, yes.
We know that Cassian gets out.
You know? Yeah, for a little bit. Yeah. And then... spoilers. But yeah, like, maybe she had something to do with the Bothans that got the information back for the second Death
she's
Star.
Still like sort of taking over what Luthen was doing.
Totally. Like, maybe there's something there to explore.
Also, like, Luthen. Oh. How, like, important he is to the rebellion, and he gets no credit, and even like the rebels are like, fuck this guy. Do you know what I mean? Like, what is this dude doing? Why is he controlling
this guy that's essentially like
spearheading
the reason there's a rebellion.
Yeah.
Cut to Luke, Han, Chewie, and Leia getting medals at the end of A New Hope. You're like,
Seriously?
guys.
You guys were just like the last wave. Okay?
It's so funny. They're like, oh wow, yeah, I guess we did all the work.
Wow, we did this whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's epic that like he knew that was going to happen too. He makes a statement about it. You know, that like he's never going to see the end of this.
Dude, yeah, his monologue in the first season might be the best monologue in Star Wars, I think. Like that line where he says, I burn my life to make a sunrise I'll never see.
Yeah.
Like his delivery is really incredible. But like knowing, you know, symbolically that connects him to Luke looking at the sunsets, Cassian looking at the explosion from the Death Star that looks like a sunset. Like it's like, god damn, dude. God damn.
Big.
Yeah. Luthen was he might have been my favorite character in the show, but there were so many good characters in that show.
Yeah, ironically, like Cassian wasn't my favorite in this bit, which I like. That it's like obviously following him, but
there's so
the
many
first
other good
season
characters.
very much him. This one, I would say that Luthen is, a big hitter.
Totally. There's
and Mon Mothma's play in all
super
of this.
powerful character as well.
Yeah.
Like we'll get to her in a second. Before we move on from Luthen, just quickly, I want to talk about the shop that he has and just the amount of Easter eggs that were included in his shop. So I collated together all the references to stuff in his shop from season 1 to season 2.
Yeah.
And I'll show you some images as well if you want.
Yes,
But,
I need images.
I'll just quickly go through them. So in all of season 1 and season 2, we get Wookiee shields. There's a Sith chalice, Kalikori, which is like a Twi'lek heirloom, a Togruta pot, which is associated with Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Mandalorian's helmet. The Mandalorian helmet design looks like it's meant to be really old, but it's based on like the first Ralph McQuarrie concept designs. We got 2 headdresses for Queen Amidala. We got one from the Phantom Menace, just the main iconic one.
Yeah.
And then we got the second one that she wears in Attack of the Clones. One that I thought at first was Jar Jar Binks' skull, but there's a
Darth Jar Jar.
There's a Gungan skull with not only like all the cracks are filled with this substance called iridium, which is like a rare gold-like metal, kind of like Kylo Ren's helmet, you know, like it's filled.
Yeah.
But also it has a Sith symbol on the skull. Darth Jar Jar, perhaps.
Darth Jar Jar.
We had Starkiller's Dark Lord helmet from the video games. We got Mandalorian armor, which isn't too special. Jedi Temple guard mask, a Sith holocron, which, I'm sorry, what is Luthen doing with the Sith holocron in his shop?
Yeah.
We've got a couple of references to Indiana Jones too. There's the Sankara stones, and then there's carbonite blocks with these 2 fertility idols that are like in carbonite, basically. Very strange.
Yeah.
We've got Gungan shield, Wookiee helmet, World Between Worlds tablet.
A lot of those, which is quite like, you know, like, I don't know what you would call it, but I mean, he is like a huge part of the rebellion, but playing and working with all of these like part of the Empire stuff, but he has all these like pieces from people who are massive in the rebellion.
Yeah. So like, he's
just like a little bit like rubbing their face in it and making them pay a fortune for their shit.
It's kind of funny too, because the first item here, the Sith chalice, this is something that's actually in the background of Palpatine's office, which...
How the fuck did he get it?
I don't know. If it's in his... Maybe it's a different one. I don't know. But anyway, Palpatine just has that chilliness. Sith chalice, Jedi walking by.
On the nose.
Surely Yoda was like, is that a fucking...
Sith chalice, bro?
Chalice that is.
Are you just collecting Sith shit?
Yeah, like what's going on there?
Cool.
So much stuff. So they just had a bloody blast doing all these Easter eggs, I reckon.
That's pretty cool.
It's very cool, hey?
Yeah.
You mentioned Mon Mothma and... oh, by the way, I'm wearing my Rebellion socks.
Oh, I love this.
Very appropriate. Yeah, how funny was Mon Mothma was like, fuck it, dance.
Just hammered.
Just like, fuck this is all
hammered.
fucked.
She's had enough for 13-year-olds getting married. Also really cool. It's cool. I like that.
Yes.
I like seeing Chandrila. Is that what it is? What's the name of the planet? The place?
I'm not good.
Chandrila?
I'm not good at the names of
I
the
know we really
planets.
fuck it. Chandrillion.
Chandrila.
It was
yes.
cool to see like a wedding ceremony.
Yeah.
Like interesting, and it feels like Japanese. Not like those ceremony, but the vibe. There's like
what
rock
they're wearing
and
is very careful.
yes,
like,
it's very
calculated and
like layered and
purposeful.
yes, and the
yeah.
hair's all done up properly, and it was very cool and then very specific like wedding ceremony, because there are quite a few like religions who do like the circling around the bride and groom. Normally they're not fucking teenagers, but it's fine.
They are in
And then cutting their hair. It was just like very cool to see that culture, her culture, because it's very like to do, you know? They're very like well off, kind of glamorous.
Right. Normally we're seeing people
in traditional
the slums, essentially.
Which is also just great to see this like this massive, with all of them, you see this like glamorous side of like a senator, and then you see like the ISB's like just
Super
clinical,
cool. Yep. Super clean and
yes,
white.
Militaristic,
Yep.
like yes, I don't know how to say it other than clinical. And then you go to like, even when you see the stormtroopers and stuff, they did quite a few scenes where they zoom in and you see a ton of scuff marks and scratches and nicks in like the stormtroopers. They're not pure white.
Yep.
Which is very like George Lucas wanted,
Yes.
is everything to look and feel very lived in.
Yep.
And you see that with like
The attention to details.
which is so
next
different
level.
than the ISB, you know?
Yeah,
It was like,
yeah.
then you have that, and then you have the rebellion that are like just
rough.
rows of people camping in an
Yep.
area, you know, and they're super basic, minimalistic,
Unorganized, yeah.
like natural clothes and stuff, whatever they can grab onto.
So wandering
It's
around.
quite cool to see all of them.
I agree. I think that's something that Andor does so well that we don't get from other shows, is that it just takes its time to like build the world out
Yeah.
and show these different cultures, show like what are these people eating, where are they staying, where are they sleeping, what are they wearing, like what are they doing, like seeing Andor just cook some stuff in his kitchen, like it's so mundane, but I think just being in that world makes it interesting,
Makes it feel more real.
yeah.
Going back to Mon Mothma though, I think it's cool to see her, because we see her in the original trilogy.
Yeah.
And they did like a transition, which was really good, of like this glamorous chick to what we see
in terms of like what she's wearing.
yes,
as well.
and then she like her hair's undone, and she's in like a natural outfit, and it feels very like what we see in the original trilogy. I don't think I think they also casted really well for that character, because you know sometimes like it's rough. Like Ewan McGregor specifically, how does that he age to what we know as Ben Kenobi?
Yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah.
That's a rough transition. Whereas hers is really seamless
Yeah,
with
it
the
is.
chick from the 70s. You know what I mean? Like that was seamless.
Yeah,
They did well.
That was really well done. And it's amazing that they've managed to keep that same actress too, because she was even in the prequels. Revenge of the Sith, I'm pretty sure, was the one where they had deleted scenes of her, and I keep going to say Miguel, that's not his name.
Diego?
Bail Organa.
Bail Organa.
His name's the actor's name is Miguel in Dexter.
Okay.
But yeah, like and him, they have this in this deleted scene, they have this discussion where it's very, very reminiscent of like the beginnings of the rebellion, where they're like, fucking this Palpatine guy is so dodgy. Maybe we need to
Yes, that was good to see
together.
too.
And even though she's in a deleted scene, like she's not even in the movie, she's still the one that's cast as this actress to take that role for the rest of the way, and it's awesome.
It is awesome.
It's really cool.
It is awesome. Speaking of other planets that we get to see that like wonderful Chandrillion wedding situation culture.
Yes.
But then we also get to see Mina Row, which is that farming planet where Cassian and Bix are
Just the big like
just
field of
little tradies
Yeah.
fixing bits,
which is very cool.
which is different because you get a lot of like moisture farms.
Yeah,
It's kind of
and-
cool to see like this other side of things.
Where does
It's not
Coruscant
just
get all its food?
Yes. And then you go to Gorman, which they have this like beautiful like fashion culture and like I think Gorman was really cool to see too. This like story of the spiders, like weaving all of the
And calcite.
Yes.
Synthetic calcite.
yeah, which was cool. And they had their own language. They created an entire language, which I found out was based on
Was it on French?
French.
Yeah, that's right.
Was based on like French phonology. It features two writing systems, which is again, I love Star Wars for this. Two writing system, which is Gorel, which is high Gore, and Dixane, which is low Gore, named after graphic designers Elle McKee and Lauren Dix, respectively,
Wow.
which is kind of cool.
That's cool.
You get to see their little rebellion
Yes.
in it, you know, when people are suppressed and they know something dodgy is going on, and like you get this like rebellion and like a massacre
Yep.
exists, and people can sort of start to stand up against it, which we see Mon Mothma do.
And honestly, it all is encapsulated by the monologue from Nemik from the first. Who what's his name? There's the ISB, like the head of ISB, not Krennic, the other guy, the guy that kills himself at the end.
Yep.
He's listening to that exact monologue of
Yes.
Nemik talking about freedom as a pure
Yeah.
idea, and no matter how much you suppress it, it's just going to keep popping up, getting
Yeah.
stronger, spreading. It's just an impossible task to maintain forever. And I think it was like a really cool scene to just see him standing there being like, maybe I have chosen the wrong thing here.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, and then ultimately he failed.
Yeah, totally.
I also thought it was really cool, the scene between him and Krennic where they're kind of arguing about the Death Star not being done yet. And they're like, well, you got to talk to Palpatine. And then they're just like, fuck, we got to talk to Palpatine.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And also to see how quickly this all was done, and how like I read this thing where it was like, because the Death Star is a fucking, well, it's a weapon, but like it's like this big fucking thing, you know, this
Right.
like daunting, massive, terrifying thing. But in this, you see that it's like it's not finished, and it's like it makes it feel less big. Do you know what I mean? Like that it's like clunky and it was half-assed a little bit towards the end.
They're kind of rushing it. And
Yeah,
it's
they're
not
rushing it.
at ultimate power yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously it does take out Alderaan, but that's okay.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it just feels like, 'cause it essentially kills one planet. Well, obviously Gorman got
They
yeeted,
didn't
and there was a
need it.
massacre. Yeah, and then Alderaan, but like it didn't do as much damage, obviously, as Palpatine had planned.
I guess that's why he's like, we need a bigger one.
Yeah.
We need a second one.
Yeah. Crazy.
Actually, there was an interesting thing that my friend again, Paul, and I were talking about, where we're talking about Cyril, the character of Cyril, who
Yes.
like never really liked, but interesting nonetheless, right?
Yeah.
And very interesting for him to find out in the end that he might have been blind to a lot of truths.
Yeah.
And the guy that he's been chasing down for 2 years is like, doesn't even know who he is.
Yeah, I thought it was the funniest thing.
It was so brutal. I love that.
It was brutal. He was like,
that.
"Who are you?"
He's like, but
He's obsessed. Yeah.
But very interesting thing about, it's not interesting. I made this up. We made this up. So the theory was, okay, so Cyril, if he was still committed to the idea of being with the ISB and you know, climbing the ranks, and if he didn't actually care for the Gormans, if that was the twist, it would have been very interesting to see him eventually being stationed on the Death Star,
Yeah.
only to find out as they're destroying Alderaan that his mother had taken a nice holiday there.
I don't know if he would be that mad.
He'd just be like,
Yeah.
nonetheless, that didn't happen.
But that also, I think that his character is really important too, because it's like not everyone was in on these fucked up plans. They're just trying to do their job, and they think they're working for
Right.
their, you know,
And
their
that's
planet. I think
super
they're doing the
realistic,
right
right?
thing. It's very realistic, and he doesn't understand. And when he finds out that that's what they've been doing, he's upset by it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He chokes out his girlfriend.
He's just like, yeah, it's like, Jesus Christ. But he's
Yeah.
like so, like,
He just thinks he's like going up in his job.
Yeah,
you know, he's
yeah,
just
yeah.
trying to
Just raising the
exist. He
ranks.
wants to get back to Coruscant at some point. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like a lot of people are like that. Not everyone was involved in these fucked up plans.
They're kind of happy to be ignorant. And I think that's something that's so like resonant in this show particularly is like it shows these normal people that are creating like are having these choices that anyone would have.
Yeah.
That leads to like, you know, their inevitable end or inevitable, you know, winning or fighting for something that's something worth fighting for.
You can't even be like, obviously Deidre's fucked, but you can't even be like super mad at her either. Like she's just doing what she's extremely loyal to the Empire. She's extremely loyal and she just is doing her job. You know what I mean? Like,
and all those people involved in the Empire, like they all feel the effects of how the Empire does not give a fuck about them at all too. It's funny how Deidre goes from pretty much like she's very, very up there, like very high rank, and then essentially is doing the same job. She's still building the Death Star at the end, but she's just like being demoted to the very lowest of low as a prisoner slave.
yeah, but
I thought
still
that was very,
needing her information because she's intelligent.
Right. It's just a fun fact about that interrogation scene with her before Krennic walks in there. There's a shot of her like face on a little screen with some like graphic design on her on the screen, and that is directly taken from George Lucas's first film, THX.
Yeah.
Which is very cool, very cool. I just saw it randomly. Someone compared it on Instagram. I'm like, God damn, that's such a neat touch. I really love that.
What he always does.
But that interrogation scene was really good too, actually.
Yeah.
With Krennic.
Yeah.
He is like...
He's good.
He is such a good actor.
Yeah.
And the amount of memes that have come out of... That's how you know a show is good, by the way, is when there's just like mass memes.
Yeah.
There's this really funny one because he was in a lot of Australian shows because he's Australian, obviously, but there's this one where he's like talking to this woman. He's like, you're not going to go to the cops, are you? You're not going to go talk to the cops, are you? And someone's like done a fake, like an impression of him being like, you're not going to go to the rebels, are you? We're trying to build a Death Star, mate. We're trying to, what does he say? We're trying to build a fucking Star Wars. It's very fun. I have to show you because it's very
You'll
funny.
have to show it, yeah. I haven't seen any of them. I've stayed away from it because I hadn't finished it
Oh,
until
yes, of
last
course.
night.
I'll send you like the thousands that I've found.
You're like, it's time.
It's time. You need to watch all of these. And of course we have Saw Gerrera, like just briefly in the show. Turns out he's just getting high.
Getting high, making other people get high. Not losing their fucking marbles.
Yeah, dude.
Forrest Whitaker is just loose too.
He's good. He's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got another like POV shot of his little like space fleet going through hyperspace again, which is really cool. But you know the grassy flight space base area that we see very briefly is actually a World War II era Royal Air Force base known as Greenham Common. So it's like very like bare bones, kind of hidden, very like rebellion, hey, like very like they just got shit everywhere, like they're just chilling here until they go to Jeddah, basically.
Another thing we can talk about is just the music and the sound design. This is something that I did notice because they put a lot of effort. I actually really liked watching Clea fuck around with her little turntable device and
all
like
the little sound
yes,
effects.
I actually really liked it. because it's so dangerous. What they're doing is so dangerous. And all of their little signals, like to each other and how they communicate. It's usually about the weather.
Benbo would be proud.
It was very good. A lot of the things they did, there was a lot of static because obviously they're like tapping into systems, which was great. Which also shows just like how mishmashed this all is. It just was really cool. I like the little turntables and then obviously the code at the end. And then being like, does this make sense? Or K2SO
They're
being
like trying to
does this
figure
make
it
sense?
out.
And Andor's immediately like, oh, I know this is, we gotta go. It's like the ignition for the, So cool.
Yes, and K2SO got he got a hallway scene. He got a hallway scene taking
He did
that,
fucking
holding that guy as he's getting shot.
Yeah.
So good.
I love it.
Clea was awesome. There was a moment where I was like, is she like Clea? Sounds awfully like Leia. Is she Leia? Like, what's going on here?
What's the vibe here?
But she's not. How funny was that elevator scene where she's just like standing with that old thing in the hospital, saying, "What?
What?"
You know, the music in that elevator is the same song that Mon Mothma's dancing to.
Is it just
But
like
it's like
slowed
an elevator style.
themed? Well, that's another thing too. You see more pop music. You see that at the
Yeah.
wedding, and when Mon Mothma's fucking losing her shit, having a little mentee bee at her kid's wedding, like
Minty B.
she was full on getting hammered, just like sick of it.
Yeah.
And then there's like cool pop music which they've introduced.
What a banger.
There's like a lot of stuff on the sound, just the soundscape in general. So the sound editor, was David Accord, and the dialogue supervisor was Margaret Pfeiffer. And they've just like, there's been a lot of stuff just on the experience within the sound design of all of this. Which honestly, I would have to go back and rewatch a little bit because I wasn't paying that much attention.
Yeah.
I was too like excited by the stuff and little bits happening.
Like, I think that's where the difference in my take is, because I've had a couple of weeks to sit on it and watch behind the scenes stuff.
And like YouTube stuff.
And enjoy, like, really just take it all in. And there's so much stuff. Like, it's crazy. I was looking at even some of like the concept art.
Dude.
Like, the concept art almost is as good as the shot. Like,
that's crazy.
some were like, here's the before and after. I'm like, what is the difference?
What's the difference? Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it just kind of blew me away. And it was like such a hyped show coming into season 2.
Yeah.
And didn't really disappoint, which is very rare to happen. You know, the amount of times we've been hyped for a show that doesn't even have a season 1, we're just going to and we get,
Yeah, I know.
you know, like for it to deliver still to an incredible standard is truly impressive, honestly.
I agree. Andor is fantastic. 10 out of 10.
This was the ultimate for me, including Rogue One, I guess. If Star Wars was made today instead of never existing before, like when you look at the original Star Wars, it's following the chosen one, or like, you know, the hero.
Yeah.
It's very mythical and legendary and and whatever. And
big,
I feel like if you do that sort of story today, unless it's done like really well, it doesn't resonate with people as strongly, I feel.
Yeah, because we're not seeking that out right now.
Yeah, we're seeking in-depth, complex stories like Game of Thrones.
Yes,
and
which is so true, and why this one hits and why some of the others haven't, right? Book of Boba Fett, even Obi-Wan Kenobi. I don't think we want that right now. Because you know how, like, this is a tangent, but in history, so I did like art history classes and stuff, the way like Jesus is portrayed depending on what's happening in the world changes.
Right.
In some aspects, he's like broken down and beaten down. In some aspects, he's like this pillar of light, and it changes for what people need at the time and like how they could speak to the masses.
Right.
His like brand essentially changes like throughout history to like what people needed and how people were feeling, because you don't want to see a hero when you're feeling so shit. You know what I mean? You want to see people like in the shit, like figuring
and
it
being
out.
able to get out of it.
Yeah. And I think so. I think that that is very, very on point for like why this resonated and why maybe others haven't.
Yeah, I
It's
think
because you're fitting a bill for like what's happening in history and a culture that just doesn't sit right with your audience.
yeah, exactly. Like I feel like George Lucas is always I feel like he's understood that as
Yeah.
well. Like when you think of the actual story of the original and the prequel, like the story of Anakin, it's like this Shakespearean tragedy almost,
Yeah.
like this fight of good and bad, this good and evil, and it's very. I think that's another reason why it resonates. Like Andor is very much on that good and evil thing. With
Yeah.
like it's just depicted slightly different than it would have been in the 80s or the
Yeah.
70s.
I also like that there was a lot of gray area here.
Yes.
And you can understand it.
Yeah.
I liked that.
Yeah. I think going back to our first episode where we talked, I think we're coming over that hump of shows that just aren't hitting, the movies that just aren't hitting from Disney Star
Yeah.
Wars. I think with this is sort of a catalyst for like, we're only going to get...
I honestly don't even think it's Star Wars specific. That just exists right now. Look how much like
Yeah.
shit movies are just being generated
You're right.
for cash. You know what I mean? You're not getting anything that's like, wow, this is something I'm going to watch for years. This is something that you want your kids to watch in 20 years. It's like, no.
It's just more of the same.
It's just like
Yep.
consumption.
Greed.
Whereas, yeah, there's no like deeper meaning. You're not having chats after with your friends. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're so right. And I think Andor's kind of...
It feels bigger than that. And
Feels
that's
bigger
probably
than
why people who are not interested at all in Star Wars are watching
yeah,
it.
like your friend that
Yeah.
just doesn't watch anything else to do with Star Wars but watches that. That's wild to me.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
I know. I was like shook. I was like, you haven't watched The Mandalorian? You watched
Talking of-
Andor?
But yeah, in saying that,
I just did it.
Andor arguably is like, I feel like people that, that maybe aren't interested, that are like forced to watch it with their partners that are fans.
Yeah. Well, I've just been watching it around the house, and we like our friends were like, I think we're gonna start watching it. It looks like really good.
Yeah, it's like, it's not just fancy lights and, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, loved it. Well, honestly, I think we're going to keep finding things out about this, so we'll probably incorporate it into our future episodes. But
Yeah, true.
I mean, for now, let us know what you think, Podlings. What you thought of Andor
What do you
season
think
2.
of Andor season 2?
And if you watched Rogue One straight after as well.
Yeah. I was like, what happened in Rogue
You
One?
kind of have to.
You do.
That is something to say though. It's like the difference between a drawn out show to then a movie.
Yeah.
Like imagine if Rogue One was the next 2 seasons of Andor.
I know.
How
Yeah.
incredible would that be? Anyway,
Crazy.
thank you for listening, Podlings.
Thanks, Podlings.
Until next time,
Check yous later.
farewell.